don't even mention them. So I really urge that you, as chief minister now, that you take action to make sure someone is made available to the Peace Commission. Otherwise, they don't need to invest too much. That goes also for all related institutions. I mean, probably just the bulk payment to them, people that post up 2 allocations is submitted to them too. The National Council for Civic Education, NCD, the judiciary, that's one small amount. You don't need more than 7 million to give them. One off payment, then you forget about them for the rest of the election period. I mean, if you have to go some payments up to some other contractors and the like, please do that so that we have the very smooth elections. Then all the electoral bodies keep going. Let them all keep going because they seem to be so focused on this year saying, no, I don't want to play for those institutions, state institutions. You can't have state institutions that are not performing their functions at this crucial time. So please make sure FS and the work. All of them are calling me, putting pressure on me. Please, let's see if we can make our money available to them between this week and next week. So I don't keep calling, referring to me again for that. Just give them 3 billion, 10 billion is enough. You can deal with them, don't forget about that. They will go and they don't know all over the place talking, filling up for education and the likes. Okay. Any question? Yes, yes,
thank you, Mr. Minister. Just to add what the Minister of Finance said, we have communicated to the government $2.5 million that we've given to the National Democratic Institute, the International Republican Institute, and the Carter Center. We've mentioned this before, but the number is higher. We've increased the amount to $2.5 million, in addition to $670,000 for training the Sierra Leone police on election-based security. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yes, are you TD or ED? Or chairman?
Chairman. So I just wanted to have a quick clarification from UADP. How do you say you give 1 million to the vice society, including civic education, or you didn't mean the council for civic education? For civic education. For civic education. Thank you.
We didn't get anything.
Okay, let's proceed. We have Office of National Security.
Morning, Chair, Co-Chair. Radio apologies from the National Security Coordinator. I'm the Chief of Staff of ONS and the Technical Lead for the Election Security Committee. By way of update, the National Security Coordinator did inform this body that in the last meeting that we had an ongoing training of trainers program on election security and violence and conflict prevention litigation. I'm pleased to note that we concluded that training, and the training of trainers, the trainers are now replicating those trainings to the various security units and formations from the project allocated by the government of Sierra Leone. It's our intention that all of our security personnel who have to provide security for the elections go through these training programs. So that's an ongoing activity. As I speak, we're also pleased to know that we've activated the National Situation Room, of course, which is a hub for security information and intelligence collection with a toll-free line. We've also trained all of our decentralized structures for 2 days. They came down to Freetown, the provincial district and children security committees on the early warning and response mechanisms, on data analysis and collection. And we also train the ones that are going to man the situation room, which is inclusive of the AFLA, the SLP, the Fire Force, and the other appendages of the security sector institutions. We've also been able to activate the ISPC Secretariat for the requisite support we got from UNDP, and working with the technical advisors that were available to us by the UNDP. This week, we also held a meeting with other organizations that have national situation rooms so that we can develop a framework agreement as well. They'll be able to link with us and we complement each other, in terms of information sharing And some of these organizations included new ECSL, PPRC, ONE, Eminent Women and others, 50/50, etc. We've already developed a draft of the framework agreement and we're hoping that we're able to sign that off. And on the 27th of this month, we're going to have a one-day strategic security sector study day in which we're going to bring all of our command and control mechanisms throughout the country, from the AIGs to the NUCs to our process and the commanders of the various units and formations, so that we can come and discuss and look at the needs assessment report that we developed. We went through around this country, myself, the AIG and others, look at our manpower strength, the gaps and our requirements for our deployment. That is going to take place on the 27th and supported by the Office of National Security. And we were in discussions with UNDP and they were able, I just had discussions yesterday with the Chief Technical Advisor. We are working on a pocket guide, which is a refresher for our security personnel. UNDP consented to make copies of, 20,000 copies of those pocket guides for us. From what I got from the Chief Technical Advisor, and they are now in print, and we hope to distribute that to all of our security personnel for the electioneering period. Also on the 19th of this month, on 24th, a high-power team that constitutes the National Security Council Coordinating Group, IG, CDS, and the other appendages of the sector, we are going to the provinces to have regional engagement with our provincial, district, and chief of security committees, which is an expanded regional engagement for clear understanding of strategic security policy directives and operations as it relates to the elections. Later this month, we are only waiting for the nominations to conclude. We are hoping to have a 2-day national consultative engagement with all registered political parties so that we can have frank discussions as we go into the elections with regards to whatever misgivings they have and how we can be able to create, a symbiotic relationship as we go into the elections, so that they can have confidence in the legitimate state security apparatus as the case may be. Last week, we also had a meeting with the justice sector, specifically represented by Justice Aberdeen, in which we were trying to look at the relationship between the elections board and our prosecutions and complaint mechanisms within the security sector. We're also trying to develop a framework agreement as the case may be. I think by way of engagement, those are the consultations we've had so far. And this afternoon also we have a high-powered meeting, the heads of the security institutions, in which we will be looking at the level of security preparedness and the gaps that we have. So suffice it to know that all other activities in terms of operational plans, strategic planning have been concluded, and I think we are quite poised and prepared to provide the requisite security for the electioneering processes. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. Can we get to the initially before discussion?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chief Minister. I want to the updates quickly. For capacity building, judges have been trained on the electoral justice for both the parliament elections and the presidential elections. The training of magistrates and registrars will be concluded next week, respectively. And then the compendium is now ready, and it's with the printers. So it's today for the compendium to be printed out, and then we will launch it. And it comes to election offences and petition courts. The court has been established in 8 districts in the provinces: Bo, Kenema, Kailau, and Kono, Inadugu, Podoko, and Moyamba. And then 6 courts will be established in the western area. 1 in Waterloo, 1 in York, and the other 4 in the western urban areas. And the Chief Justice have already appointed the first tier of judges to sit in these courts. The judiciary intends to appoint 2 judges to each of the courts because we realize that more cases will be coming up, and the rules are made it very clear that those cases should be had day by day. And also, we also have the existing caseload of the judiciary. So we are supposed to have 2 judges in each and every court. The Chief Justice has appointed the first tier of judges, which are more or less the resident judges in the provinces. And by the end of the week today, and by the end of the week, this week, we'll be able to publish the names of the remaining judges. And this past Friday, I appointed the Chief Justice and some senior members of the judiciary to the provinces to make sure that we looked at the existing court facilities to see which one is ready and where we'll be able to hold these courts. And then most of the courts are in a very bad shape, which is as usual. And we received some funds from the government of Sierra Leone, and this fund has been increased to ensure that we rehabilitate the courts quickly, so that we're able to accommodate cases that are coming up for the petitions. And courtrooms or courthouses which are so difficult to refurbish and rehabilitate, we decided to look for other spaces within the district where we're able to do these cases. For example, in Kabbalah, the Kabbalah court is in very bad shape for now, so we had discussions with some stakeholders within the Kabbalah community itself, and we have provided, I think it's the youth center, for us to use it for the elections of places and petition courts. And then quickly on the minutes, I think it's on page 9. I'm supposed to give this gathering an update on the interparty cases that are pending cases before the judiciary. We have 4 interparty cases that deals with the APC itself. 2 has been handled by the Honorable Justice Fisher J, and 2 by the Honorable Boni J. The 2 that are before the Honorable Justice Fisher has been adjourned to July after the first rounds of elections. And the other 2 that are before Justice, the Honorable Justice Aberdeen, the injunctions that were granted has been lifted. I think all of us heard about it. The one that displayed the APC to conduct their convention. Those injunctions have been lifted, and the judge has sent notices to the parties to come and argue the substantive matter. And we have other cases. The case of the PDP, I think it's also one of the political parties, the PDP case. The matter was dismissed by the judge on the technicalities to say they did not comply to the procedure, so the matter has been dismissed. And also the NDA, also there's a case before the judiciary, the NDA case. The injunction that was granted has also been lifted. Came and asked for an injunction to restrain some members of the party, also the party not to nominate their members for this forthcoming election. So the judge granted an injunction, and that injunction has been lifted, and they have nominated their party and their members respectively. And also on the C4C, the C4C is also another political party. They brought a case before the High Court, and then an injunction was granted, and then it's recently, I think it was this week, that the lawyers filed their papers for the injunction to be lifted, and the hearing for that injunction to be lifted is going to be done this week. And then quickly again, we have some other criminal cases which involve high-profile individuals who intend to take part in these elections. For instance, the APC flag bearer, Dr. Samora Kamara, his case has been adjourned after the elections on 2 grounds. One of the accused is seriously sick and definitely that all of them are charged together. They are charged jointly. So except an application has to be made for them to receive, and no application has been made. So based on that, the judge adjourned the matter to July. And then we also have about 3 cases which involve councillors, local council, who are supposed to participate in local council elections. And they were granted bail, all of them were on bail, one of them dropped bail, and the bail warrant was issued against him, and he was brought before the court, and the court granted him bail again. And then the matter is ongoing day by day. And I think that's the update that I have for now. But I just want to use this opportunity to inform this House that the judiciary intends to conduct a judicial week, wherein the judiciary will look at backlog cases in the criminal docket. And this is from the support. We have that support from the UNDP, and we are thanking the UNDP for that kind of, to support that kind of initiative. We've done it in 2 occasions. This one is going to be the 3rd occasion, where we will have judges, we will go, the teachers will appoint judges who will sit in each and every district town to look at backlog cases and to ensure that these cases are completed within the 2 weeks timeline. And notwithstanding this update, we still have some few challenges. Thanks to the government of Sierra Leone, the minister is there. We've done very well by investing our money. Thank you for that. Mr. Minister, and also the NDP is doing very, very well. Is doing very, very well to ensure that support us, which we think we need to say thank you to them as well. The challenges we're having has to do with the fake news and hate speech towards the judiciary. That's a huge challenge. One of you like me that I think it was yesterday, or the day before yesterday, there was something going on social media to say 41 petition cases have been filed. You know, and also saying that they have filed, the SLPP have filed a case against the APC flag bearer and Supreme Court to restrain him not to participate in the forthcoming elections. So these are some of the challenges we're having. And we really don't know how we really don't know how we can have that support to tackle some of this information. And also another huge challenge has to do with the relationship between the judiciary and the press, whether it is the formal media or the informal media. We're having problems with them because when some of these news come up, we have our outreach section, we have our head of communications, we have our communications unit. They're asking them to ensure that whenever they receive any of these informations, before they publish it, they need to cross-check with the judiciary. Thank you.
This is the time for it. And again, we find better of managing it. Okay, any comments on the presentation from the security and the judiciary? Okay, no comment so far. That's good job.
Yes.
Okay. Police?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the representative of the ONS for his presentation. That is more or less as what he has presented to this purpose body. The Sierra Leone police very much aware that the security rests entirely on us. We have decided that actually we should put in place structures that will ensure that we handle that. And so, after the 2018 elections, we realized that violence, which was previously on the decline, was increasing. And so, the tour around the country established hotspot areas. And so, what we have done, we have actually tasked our outreach department to engage those communities so as to understand their concerns and for them to be informed that the way forward is not about violence, but actually by obeying the rule of law and bringing to the table what are their concerns in order to be adequately addressed. So from divisional level, we have established what we call the 4 control points. It's a kind of situation control room more or less, that will monitor the situation, and then will report to the regional commanders at the ICC, which is the Incident Control Command Center, and they in turn will actually contact us in Freetown at the National Joint Coordinating Center, the NJOC, so that as something happens, to be able to relay to the regional commander to us and be able to actually profile, advise immediately where it is resources, material or human, will be able to give that one. And because of the threat, we have actually asked our LUCs to revitalize what we call the local policing partnership board, because we are fully aware that it is a community crime protocol. It is community members that actually commit crimes, and therefore stakeholders within the community are in better position to identify those individuals, those areas, and for the police to operationalize it. Beneath that, we have engaged looks within those establishments for them to actually liaise with the police. There are instances, if there is a volatile situation, they are used actually who are volunteers to work, to patrol with even the police. We have equally instructed our commanders that those ghettos where drugs and so on and so forth, that they should continue raiding it, and individuals arrested it's available for them to be charged to court. We from time to time actually make a press conference. There is made actually to get to the public what is expected of them. Through the press, they should be able to know what they should refrain from. But what we have always iterated is that central to Western democracy, which Sierra Leone is practicing, is actually one, tolerance, political tolerance. Secondly, for us to obey rule of law, and that is where always people demonize the police. For instance, during registration, political parties were asked to submit 20 members that will accompany their flag bearers and renegades, who were allowed to go with their immediate families and neighbors. And in addition to that, we contacted political parties that this is what we have agreed on. We are only reminding you that your membership should stay where you go and address them after your nomination. The political party decided to go with all their membership to ACS. And so even where we contacted those stakeholders there, that look at what you submitted, that these are the individuals who also please talk to your membership, they could still not do it. And so when a situation like that happens, the police is not going to allow all the party supporters to go to ACS, obviously. We are going to stop them. And that brought on Monday the confrontation. But as we can see, another political party decided to follow what was actually prescribed by ECSL. Their members actually went to the location they identified, and from nomination they went there. So they had no business actually to confront with the police. I was in a meeting with the Chief Justice last week, who indicated that they are very much frightened as we are going to elections because of the volatile situation and the need security. And so to start with, we have actually increased the security of the law court. We have given additional security to the Chief Justice. And he informed us that he will be establishing election courts. We have gone ahead to establish election sections within our police establishment for election investigation to do it speedily, where evidence is there to charge the court. So they are going to establish election court in Kono, Kenema, Kainan for the east, Mbo, Moyamba for the south, Puloko, Mekini, Kabala for the north, northeast, and northwest, and Waterloo, York, and the law court here. So he said 24 judges will be involved in that. And so we have actually made arrangements for their security. In addition to the judges we currently have, because by procedure we are supposed to provide 24-hour security for all the judges day and night, in addition to close protection. We should have security at their home day and night, and we should have close protection to them. We have done that. As I said, we thank the sitting government that for the first time that we have had vote to access relevant areas. I'm not saying we have not been given vote by government partners that actually disingenuous, if I say that, because the American embassy provided us votes, which from time to time I was leading them to go and inspect to see whether we are actually using it properly. But then this is our own government that is giving us this thing so as to ensure that we are able to work properly. Those volatile areas where we think by talking to them by patrols would still not yield much dividend. We have asked under the MAPI, the military aid to civil power, for them to jointly deploy the force. And I'm pleased to say that in the entire western area, we have actually jointly deployed with them in volatile areas. And we have had 50 AFSLAF, Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. They have a deployment at Longley 50, and we have 50 OSDs and 20 general duties. In Ross Road, there are 50 there, we have 50 OSD and 20 general duties. In Waterloo, we have 50 OSD, they have 30 and 20 general duties. Those ones are actually meant as Waterloo in particular, they are ex-combatants. We have actually getting very serious security threat from that area. And so they are meant to patrol in addition to those tactical positions so that we'll be able to forestall any constraints, any security problems. So I can go on, but we are just telling you that the security, we are on top of the security, and we assure this August body that the Sierra Leone police is very much aware of what is happening, and by intelligence we are collecting, we are actually responding proactively to ensure that when the DD comes, we'll be on top of the things. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, okay, now,
So let's then move on, still members of the committee, to the next item, which is update from civil society organizations. We start with new. And then once news, we'll move to civic education and conflict prevention, and the civil society part, one after the other. No break. Okay, go on, please.
Thank you, sir. So National Elections Watch is preoccupied with domestic elections observation, otherwise citizens' observation of the electoral processes for the purpose of accountability and transparency. National Elections Watch membership drives continue. To date, 450 organizations registered across the country. On the 11th to the 14th of April, we had a national engagement across the country of all heads of organizations registered with National Elections Watch, and we emphasized the National Elections Watch Code of Conduct because it's important to mention that elections observation is a professional entity and it has to be independent and non-partisan. So we've taken the Code of Conduct across the country and to ensure that we bring our different platforms up to speed with the National Elections Watch 2023 election strategy and also the reviewed Public Elections Act. That particular enterprise was in partnership with the GIZ. Equally so, on the 17th to the 20th of April, we engage in civil society, government, and state institution dialogue session on security, EMP preparedness, making sure that we discuss issues relating to plans for the elections and for peaceful elections. A communique was developed on peaceful elections after the 17th to 20th April dialogue session. As I speak, we have deployed, trained, and deployed 34 long-term observers across the country, and also in support of the deployment are 5 zonal coordinators. And these will be giving real-time information on the electoral context in the different districts across the country. Currently, 2 of our members are in Accra, Ghana, and they are discussing new realities of citizens' observation in Africa. The summit is bringing all domestic elections observers across the continent to Accra to discuss the new realities. The essence of that meeting is to ensure that the rights of citizens observers are protected. Because last year, 2022, the United Nations upped the status of citizens observers as human rights defenders. Because citizens observers themselves have been facing enormous threats as they do their work. So far, we've done, from the last meeting to date, we've done 2 statements on the electoral process, voter registration, and equally so the deployment of the LTOs. National Elections Watch also sits as co-chair in the Election Pledge Committee, where we expect the flag bearers to do an election pledge for peace in advance of the June 24 polls. Finally, I want to mention that one of the biggest success of democratic renewals in Sierra Leone has been non-partisan, independent observation of the electoral process. The work of National Elections Watch has been something that a number of international observers have put high on the agenda on other countries. But as I sit here as the chairperson of National Elections Watch, to date, we have only been able to mobilize, apart from other categories of observers, 50% of the total number of polling stations which has to be covered for elections. I want partners to know and hear this, that new would only, as at now, in terms of resources at hand, we will only be doing 50% elections coverage until and unless partners see the need not to deviate from our political culture and context and support the 100% coverage that citizens groups have been doing over the years in the electoral process. I thank you so very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Neil, for the update, civic education and conflict prevention. Please, go ahead.
We have an update of my co-chair with
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We at the National Council for Civic Education and Democracy have been pretty busy. In the last 2 years, we have been working with UNDP. We have received some support from UNDP to do what we call working with the youth at risk in the Tokolili and Kenaman district. We all know that the young people who call youth at risk, others call them quick, are the ones who politicians normally use to unleash violence during the electionary period. So we have developed an out-of-school civic education curriculum which we are using to guide them to disease from violence and to also participate in the electoral process. Because of the limited funds we are getting from UNDP on this, we have talked to the government of Sierra Leone who have provided us some funding, and we are cascading this to Bombali district. We have identified Bombali as one of the flashpoints during this election. We also have Waterloo, some parts of Western Freetown, and also Kenya, where UNDP has already supported us to do some work in Nomboa and my chiefdoms. We are doing dialogue with the police, the chiefs, and other duty bearers, we call them, during this election. We are also working with Sierra Leone Police through their community police department and the local police partnership board in Makeni, together with Youth Beat Sierra Leone, which is a local NGO in Makeni, came in the program we are calling Vote Not Fight campaign. We are also working with the Ministry of Youth Affairs, the National Youth Commission, through their District Youth Council, for us to mobilize 500 young people that we are going to train and also work with them as ambassadors of non-violence during this electoral period. On our own, we have developed what we call a smart voter app, which we are going to use to explain how to minimize the number of web votes that are normally seen during elections. Also, we're going to use that platform to explain as much as possible the new system that we're using, what is it called, the district log system. The app that we have developed does not need internet to be reached. So we are going to deploy that app on Tuesday 12th. We're going to launch that out so that young people, we're going to also train 300 college students from 6 campuses so that they can help us to disseminate the house to their peers, because young people normally are very good in the social media domain. We have also mounted speakers on 2 of our vehicles. One is deployed here in the western area, and the other we are going to use off country. They are going to disseminate our Mr. and Madam Good Citizen series, which we use to advise citizens to participate in the electoral process and to also denounce violence. We are going to concentrate off country on market day events, the lumas and the ways where people come from their villages to sell and buy in those communities. These are always platforms that we use to get as many people. Our only disappointment is that we are the permanent and ongoing institution for civic education in this country. And we are the ones who have a fully formed and tested civic education curriculum. And our partners in the UNDP talk about supporting civic education during the educational process, but we are not getting the support. And interestingly, most of these institutions who get the support for civic education come to us to the farmers.
TDN Africa. TDN Africa. Media. TDN Africa. Media.
Mommy say put me online now. I need education, I need information and news. TDN will let you know. We bring you entertainment, we bring you the people's view. We don't just do the talk, we verifying before reporting. We don't just do the talking, we verifying before reporting. In independence and credibility, that's why we are here to bring you unbiased news. We believe in independence and credibility, because we are here to bring you unbiased news. TDN Africa Media. TDN Africa.
TDN Africa. TDN Africa. TDN Africa.
Mommy say put me online now. I need education, I need information and news. TDN will let you know. We bring you entertainment, we bring you the people's view. We don't just do the talk, we verifying before reporting. We don't just do the talking, we verifying before reporting. In independence and credibility, that's why we are here to bring you unbiased news. We believe in independence and credibility, because we are here to bring you unbiased news. TDN Africa Media. TDN Africa.
TDN Africa. TDN Africa. Media. TDN Africa. Media.
Mommy say put me online now. I need education, I need information and news. TDN will let you know. We bring you entertainment, we bring you the people's view. We don't just do the talk, we verifying before reporting. We don't just do the talking, we verifying before reporting. In independence and credibility, that's why we are here to bring you unbiased news. We believe in independence and credibility, because we are here to bring you unbiased news. TDN Africa Media. TDN Africa.